Machiavelli understood something most people never learn. When someone disrespects you, your natural response is exactly what destroys your power. He spent years watching the Borgias, the Medicis, and the ruthless princes of Renaissance Italy. What he discovered about handling disrespect changed everything we thought we knew about human relationships. Today, I'm revealing 7 Machiavellian strategies that turn disrespect into your greatest weapon. These aren't theories from a textbook. These are battle-tested methods that have survived 500 years because they work when nothing else does. But here's what you need to understand before we continue. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching survival. In a world where showing weakness meant death, he mapped the invisible rules of power that still govern every human interaction. The people who disrespect you are counting on your ignorance of these rules. They're betting you'll react emotionally instead of strategically. That ends today. The first strategy Machiavelli revealed seems counterintuitive until you understand why it works. When someone disrespects you, never defend yourself immediately. Machiavelli observed that princes who rushed to explain themselves appeared weak. Defense signals that the accusation landed. It tells your opponent they found your vulnerability. Consider how this pattern played out in Renaissance power dynamics. We see this principle illustrated through Cesare Borgia's approach to handling accusations from rival families. They spread rumors about his brutality, his ambition, his methods. Historical accounts describe his response as strategic silence, not the silence of someone who has no answer, but the silence of someone whose power speaks louder than words. His enemies grew desperate when their attacks produced no reaction. They escalated, they overreached, they exposed themselves. This is what most people misunderstand about silence. They think it means accepting disrespect. Machiavelli knew it meant something far more dangerous. Silence forces your opponent to fill the void. They reveal their true intentions. They show you their strategy. They give you everything you need to defeat them without ever defending yourself. Modern neuroscience confirms what Machiavelli observed 5 centuries ago. When you defend yourself, you activate the other person's conviction that they're right. Their brain releases dopamine every time you react. You're literally rewarding them for disrespecting you. But when you remain silent, their certainty cracks. They start questioning themselves. The power dynamic shifts without you saying a single word. Think about the last time someone disrespected you and you immediately defended yourself. Did it make them respect you more? Or did they double down on their position? Machiavelli would tell you that defense is the language of the powerless. The powerful simply observe and remember. They catalogue each offense with the precision of a military strategist documenting enemy positions. They say nothing in the moment because they understand that silence is a weapon sharper than any immediate retaliation. Your silence accomplishes something your words never could. It creates uncertainty in your opponent's mind. They expected anger, defensiveness, justification. When you give them nothing, they start filling in the blanks with their own fears. Maybe you didn't respond because the insult was beneath you. Maybe you're planning something they can't see yet. Maybe they miscalculated your power. This psychological warfare happens entirely in their mind while you conserve your energy for battles that matter. But silence alone isn't enough if you don't know when to strike. This brings us to Machiavelli's second strategy. Choose your battles with ruthless precision. Machiavelli documented patterns across Renaissance Italy, where princes wasted their strength fighting every insult, every slight, every challenge to their authority. They exhausted themselves defending against attacks that didn't matter. Meanwhile, the real threats grew stronger in the shadows. Machiavelli's observations about Lorenzo de' Medici's strategic approach reveal that power isn't about winning every confrontation. Power is about identifying which battles determine your survival and ignoring everything else. When someone disrespects you, in a way that doesn't threaten your actual position, Machiavelli would tell you to let it pass. Not because you're weak, but because you're strategic. The moment you react to every disrespect, you become predictable. Your enemies learn exactly which buttons to push. They drain your energy with meaningless provocations while preparing real attacks you're too exhausted to counter. This is how the weak defeat the strong, not through direct confrontation, but through strategic depletion. Machiavelli documented this pattern throughout Renaissance Italy. The princes who lasted weren't the ones who defended their honor most fiercely. They were the ones who saved their fury for battles that actually mattered. They appeared almost passive to minor insults. Then, when someone crossed a line that threatened their real power, they responded with such overwhelming force that nobody dared cross that line again. This creates what Machiavelli called calculated unpredictability. People can't manipulate you if they can't predict when you'll respond. Some insults you ignore completely, others you obliterate. The key is that only you know the pattern. Your opponents spend their energy guessing while you spend yours preparing for battles that matter. Let me illustrate this principle with a composite example based on patterns Machiavelli observed. Imagine a prince who responds to every minor slight from neighboring territories. He sends armies for verbal insults. He escalates disputes over trivial matters. He makes examples of people who pose no real threat. What happens? His treasury depletes. Empaths aren't broken. They're alchemists in progress. The alchemist's path gives you drills, young-based boundaries, and 3 exclusive chapter videos to turn overwhelm into clarity. By Surreal Mind, 236-page downloadable ebook in stock. Begin now at thesurrealmind.com. His soldiers grow weary. His allies start questioning his judgment. And when a genuine threat emerges, someone who actually wants his territory and has been quietly building alliances while he was distracted, he lacks the resources to defend himself effectively. This prince fell not because he was weak, but because he couldn't distinguish between noise and signal. Contrast this with a narrative illustration of strategic patience. Consider a leader who tolerates minor disrespect with apparent indifference. Rivals mock him publicly. Lesser nobles question his legitimacy. Critics spread unflattering stories. He does nothing. People start to wonder if he's weak. Then, one rival crosses the actual line, threatening his core power base. The response is swift, decisive, and so overwhelming that every other potential enemy immediately recalculates their position. This is battle selection as psychological warfare. You teach people where the real boundaries are by showing them the difference between what you'll tolerate and what you'll destroy. If you're tired of people treating you like you're powerless, comment, "I choose my battles wisely." The third strategy reveals why most people lose power battles before they even begin. Machiavelli observed that emotional reactions are weapons your enemies use against you. When you get angry, defensive, or hurt, you're not expressing your feelings. You're handing control of your responses to the person who disrespected you. We see this dynamic clearly in the story of how Machiavelli analyzed the fall of certain well-intentioned leaders. Consider a case profile that appears repeatedly in his work. A beloved, honest, well-intentioned administrator who reacted emotionally to every political attack. His enemies learned his patterns. They knew exactly which accusations would make him defensive, which rumors would make him angry, which challenges would make him overreact. They played him like an instrument until his emotional responses destroyed his credibility.
If you respect strength over noise, subscribe. This channel is for people who choose power over reaction.